like I say, it's scientific experimentation. I'm going to try this. It either works or it doesn't. Okay, it didn't work. What can I do to better my methods? Maybe I was looking at it the wrong way. Maybe I wasn't truly confident in my goals. Maybe I was scared of finally getting it. You need to analyze these things. And self-discipline, self-awareness, these things are important to magical practice. It is really about your own journey and about perfecting yourself and about perfecting your world around you, which really is completely just your own perception of it. All that really exists is consciousness. The rest of it, like, you know, it's a cliche, but say we're all living in a dream. It's somewhat true in the sense that we do, in many ways, mold this world that's in front of our eyes, even if it's just how we react to it, and nothing more.
Well, it's true. I mean, even just like being in the city, you can literally say, no matter where you look, pretty much, everything was man-made. Everything's created by human beings. So, and that comes from human imagination initially, right? So without the human imagination, none of, like, the city would be here, you know? Like, things would be very, very different.
Yeah, I guess that's true of all human society.
Yeah.
You know, art, music, language, these things are basically manifestations of our creativity, of our will to create. It's part of being human. We want to make things. We want to shape this world in front of us.
And to improve it. I mean, look at like science and medicine and space.
It's human nature. Well, in fact, one of the great things about I should reword that, because one of the great things about being human, and in fact, the thing that leads to all technologies, art, etc., is the ability to transcend our nature, which other animals don't seem to have, which is something that makes us uniquely human. If, for example, transgender, you're born a man and you really feel that you should be a woman, there's nothing stopping you from becoming a woman these days. I mean, you can get the surgery, you take estrogen, you do the whole deal, right? And that's one of the great things about being human, is that we're able to transcend the situation that we're put in and make it what we want it to be. And these are lessons that have been passed down since the beginning of time through priestly castes, mythologies, secret societies. These are lessons that are universal. And it's part of the human struggle. I don't know how else to word it. So, any other comments, questions?
How do you get involved with the O.T.O?
Well, there is an interview process. I mean, basically you just inquire. I mean, for myself, basically all I did was I inquired over the website, and then if you already know people, I mean, really all that's required to be involved in the O.T.O is 2 sponsors, which are very easy to get, even if you don't know anyone, because I didn't know anyone when I joined. And you have to accept the book of the law. And that's basically it. Well, I guess you technically have to accept Hemonias Beta as the true head of the order, because there has been some debate over lineages. Same with the Golden Dawn. There is many debate over which school of the Golden Dawn is the proper Golden Dawn. There are a couple O.T.Os out there. The Caliphate O.T.O that I'm referring to legally has legally confirmed that they are the descending O.T.O of Crowley's order, and so you must accept this head of the order, not that head of the order, as the head of the order. But that's off topic. Basically, yeah, you just inquire. You go through an interview process. Usually that's a phone interview and then an in-person interview, and after that, it's if you're still willing to go further, then you become initiated.
And how long have you been involved?
Only for a few years, not for very long. And so I'm still relatively new to this stuff too in many ways. And I mean, even those who have been involved for 20 years are still new to it in many ways. I mean, you're constantly always learning and moving, hopefully, towards the ultimate goal, which is hopefully union with your holy guardian angel or your true will, or discovering what your true self really is. And like I say, it's not a teaching order, so no one's going to tell you how to do that. But the point of it is that hopefully we can all get together and talk about this stuff, get it out there, learn from others' experiences, pool our ideas. And that's another reason why it's very essential to approach it in a scientific manner, because if someone is to have a spiritual experience and not document the details involved, many people can just dismiss it. Whereas you say, Mars was in this position, the sun was in this position, I was going through this emotionally at the time, I used these specific tools, these specific correspondences, much like you would if you were doing a scientific experiment. I have my hypothesis, this is what I think is going to happen. Now I have my procedure. This is how I'm going to go about doing it. I'm going to use these tools, I'm going to do this, I'm going to say this, I'm going to dance around, bang on a drum. And then what actually happened? This is what happened. It worked, it didn't work, it didn't go the way I thought it would. How can I draw a conclusion from that? And so if we actually document these things, when you do get around to sharing it with each other, it's much easier to actually figure out what works and what doesn't. And it's easier to, I guess it's easier to help other people understand your own experiences too. I mean, it's not just like, oh, I had this vision because I did some PCP and, you know, it was a spiritual experience. I'm not putting down the use of drugs. I mean, they obviously have a purpose in ritual, but personally I haven't figured out what that is yet for certain drugs, but that's not the point. The point is that if you did do PCP before the ritual, that you document that you did and how much you did and how you reacted to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true. I've had I remember in my 20s I had a couple of points where I had like really deep spiritual experiences, and I had no language set, I wasn't studying magic or anything like that at the time, so I had no language set, no set of symbols to base things on, and I wasn't keeping records of any kind or anything like that, so all of that, basically at this point is novel but somewhat useless to me,
Because
it's like I have no
context for it.
Yeah, and it's amazing how, as the time goes by, something that was really profoundly spiritually impactful on you, you can totally forget about, because mundane life takes over again.
Yeah.
So
your memory's finite too, right?
Yeah, so I can really see the value of.
And that's why Crowley was a big proponent of the magical diary. He recommended you always document every experience, even if you think it's trivial. Gardner as well recommended that you write down every ritual, you write down the results of your ritual. Of course, the Book of Shadows is passed on from teacher to student, but you're also supposed to add your own stuff to that. And that's also a lot of people will recommend dream diaries.
Yeah, I kept one I've noticed too with I had a lot of spiritual dreams, and I would find that there'd be recurring symbols that would enter into the dreams over and over again. If you go over it for a year.
But there you go. If you didn't write it down,
it would be totally lost. I said, so what does this mean to me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you can look back on it and go, look at something you dreamt 6 months ago.
Yes.
And go, wow, that's very similar to what I dreamt 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Or the same, exactly. These symbols are always showing up.
Yes.
These ideas are always showing up. And if you didn't document it, you wouldn't be able to make that comparison because you would have forgotten something that happened 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's like your holy ghost or the holy demon, as they call it, your fairy, is knocking and telling you this is what you need to know.
And it is kind of nice too when it comes to writing down your ritual practices and your magical experiences to be able to look at it later with a different mindset because you've learned, you've progressed, you've evolved, and now you look at where you were 2 years ago, and you're like, wow, like, I've gone that far, or man, I was an idiot back then. Or, you know, like